All right, hello everyone, and welcome back. So we have the second half of our program coming up, which is going to be even more great content for you. So we're going to start with Mike Mandalise, and he's got his screen ready to go, but let me just give you a quick introduction, Mike. So Mike Mandalise is a multidisciplinary graphic artist and design manager with more than 15 years of experience working on a wide variety of print and digital media. He has developed packaging, advertisement, toys, board games, environmental designs, trade show booths, and various types of sales collateral for a range of clients and industries. Whether it's leading a brand redesign or cutting out mock-ups, Mike is passionate about every step of the design process and all the technical and creative challenges that come with it. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike, and I'm the design manager at HP Hood. Welcome to my brand talk. I'm very honored to be here in front of all of you. Thank you to Monotype for inviting me here today to share with you some of my thoughts on design, creativity, and quality. These are things that, especially now during quarantine, I've only had my poor wife to drone on to about, so it's very nice of you all to give her the afternoon off and let me talk to you about this stuff instead. A little bit about me. I started my career as a production artist. Shout out to designers who label their layers and delete unused swatches. From there, I got into the world of toys, games, and puzzles, and spent over 10 years designing some super fun products for both kids and adults. But after more than a decade of that, I was ready for a new industry and some new challenges. And that's how I found my home at Hood. I've been there just shy of 2 years. And I'm giving this background because I'm still a newcomer to the world of food and beverage. And this outsider's perspective has helped me appreciate a lot of the ways that things are done at Hood. So who is Hood? I don't know where, in the chat earlier, it looked like people are tuning in from all over the country. So if you've ever spent any time in New England, you probably have seen a Hood or a Hood product. The Hood consumer brand is pretty regional to New England. However, HP Hood, the company, and our brand portfolio is national and international. We were established in 1846 in Charlestown, Mass. And the Hood presence in Boston area has always been very strong. We have a couple of landmarks you might have seen if you've ever traveled around Boston. We even had a blimp for a number of years floating around the skies over Fenway Park. And we actually have our 175th anniversary next year and have some fun stuff in the works to celebrate that. So keep your eye out. Hood has a great portfolio of both regional and national brands. These are some of our national brands you're seeing here that you hopefully have seen in supermarkets. And we also have a lot of regional brands too that just depending on the area of the country you've been in, you may or may not have seen these. But just to give you an idea of the breadth of the Hood brand portfolio. One fun fact I'd love to share with people about Hood is that Hood actually invented frozen yogurt back in the 1970s. It was originally called Frogurt, and it was made as a request from Bloomingdale's for a healthy alternative to ice cream to sell in their stores. So even if you haven't heard of Hood, you've probably eaten some of our products. I want to give a quick overview of how the brand-oriented branches of Hood operate and are structured. I know I personally always love hearing how different organizations are set up, so I definitely want to share this with you guys today. At Hood, we have a large marketing department with brand teams for all major brands and product categories. The design team, which is what I'm part of, supports each and every one of those brands and categories in any way we can. And we also support Hood Corporate with our internal communications and internal branding. So the main ways that we support our brands is by liaisoning with dozens of external vendors, mostly print vendors. We attend press runs all over the country, setting press standards. We interact with external creative agencies, providing feedback and guidance for external work that our brands do. And we also have started attending research and testing to participate in focus groups and provide a design perspective on the information we learn there. In terms of things that we create collateral for all brands, from major packaging redesigns and trade show booths, all the way down to just yearly coupons. So a really big gamut of products. And we're about 90% print work. So our team dreams in CMYK, and we lightly assist where we can with web-based work too. For those of you who like numbers, we have 16 team members focused on brand management, 7 focused on communications, PR, and digital marketing. And supporting all of those people, we have a team of 4 designers and 1 traffic manager. And it's a lot of fun with this setup because our team gets exposed to a lot. Everybody has different skill sets that we all like to overlap and share, and it's a really great setup for us. So what am I here to talk to you about today? Coming from the toy world, as I mentioned, and entering Hood, the most striking difference to me was the focus on quality. It's an obsession from the ground up, and it's really changed the way that I approach both improvement and the creative process. So I wanted to share with you some of my observations in the hopes that they can help you view your brands and organizational processes in a new way. And this is definitely a holistic view of our brands. I know typically in talks like these, the presenters get into granular details of certain projects and their learnings from it, but this is definitely on the other end of the brand learning spectrum. So just a little preface. As I mentioned, this will go beyond just a brand talk, but these are the things I'm going to cover today. And while our brands are also obsessed with quality in their own ways, and we'll definitely talk about that, the entire company is as well. And I think the benefits of that culture are fantastic, and that's really what I want to share with you today. And I'm very lucky that Hood had this culture already established when I entered the company. And I'm definitely focusing on the benefits of that culture. Hopefully after listening to this today, and you maybe want to try to change the culture or the focus of your brands in your own companies. There's a great book that I've read called The Heart of Change. It's about leading large-scale change within an organization. It's by John Cotter and Dan Cohen. It's widely available on the web. But if you guys want to try to make change within your own companies, I really suggest reading that. So what does this culture mean for our brands? A lot of the stuff you might know already or might be obvious to you, but unlike so many other ideals that you might strive for, the idea of quality has systemic benefits for all aspects of a company and not just its brands. Coming to Hood was a bit of a culture shock for me. In the toy world, quality was often the first thing sacrificed. The question was always, how do we make it cheaper? And very rarely, how do we make it better? Sometimes people would say, how do we make it better? But what they really meant is, how do we make it cheaper? And as much as I want to give full credit to Hood's leadership and wonderful employees for this culture, and they do deserve most of it, a large part of it is that the dairy industry is the most regulated industry in the country after pharmaceuticals. So Hood's quality-focused culture is an absolute necessity within their competitive landscape. So outwardly, we strive to have the name Hood be synonymous with quality. This is a constant for all of our outward-facing brand and marketing material. Year to year, there might be tweaks to our messaging, but ultimately, this is our brand's bedrock. As a couple of examples, we have the proprietary light block bottle for Hood, which is all about protecting the milk that's in there from light that damages the quality and freshness of the milk inside. For hell of a good dips, it's about all of our dips are made with real milk and cream, whereas just about all of our other competitors in that category are made from oils and water. This is a couple of examples of our outward-facing stance to consumers. For our farmers, Hood has stringent and absolute policies about how our farmers treat their cows. If there's ever any breach of our ethical code, Hood just won't do business with that farmer anymore. So our suppliers know how much we care about what we do. Overall, this dedication to quality creates trust with the consumer. For milk, which is something that you're giving a young child as their very first food, that dedication and the trust that comes with it is a pretty big deal. Personifying this not just in marketing channels, but at every touch point of our business, consumers, government, suppliers, we believe that if they see that we care and are striving to do better in taking care of our partners, then that encourages them to advocate and take care of us in return. Inwardly, for those of us working within the company, employees feel responsible for contributing to the quality of the brand. Leadership at Hood really understands that if employees are focusing on quality first, everything else will follow. The product will be better, sales will be better, and most importantly, customer satisfaction will be better. So again, this is just a very high level of what a quality focused culture means for our brands as well as our company culture. This right here is a quote from our VP of quality that ran in our company newsletter recently. And it really kind of gets to the idea of the range of benefits I'm talking about today. Hopefully you can all read that all right. So yeah, I mean, as I said before, having a culture like this really has systemic benefits for not just our brands, but kind of everything we do. And this also leads to one of my personal favorite things about a quality focused culture. And that is that quality focused environments are a magnet for pragmatists. It's hard for big egos to do well in an environment like that because you can't make it about you when everybody else around you cares about the product more. And every VP and person in the C-suite in the company is very down to earth and approachable. It just really creates one less barrier for effective communication. And everybody seems like a person you can talk to because they are. They really are very good about communicating with the boots on the ground and hearing from everyone in the company and encouraging people to speak up when they have something they want to say. So how does this culture help us improve? This quote right here from Jeff Bezos is really at the root of the first benefit of a quality focused culture that I'm talking about today, and that is improvement. And just as a preface, quality does not equal perfection. It's not an end state. Whatever you solve in time, better solutions will arise. And being open to hearing those ideas, especially when you have something that already works, can be really hard. But it's a lot easier if quality is top of mind. And obviously there's inherent risk to anything you might try when attempting to improve. But you don't want to fall into the safety hole where the status quo and your fear of disrupting it are used to justify inaction. If you do, you only get a comfortable place to watch your competitors pass you by. And there's been a lot of that in the dairy industry lately if you've been watching the news. Companies that haven't changed their product offerings since the last World War have learned the hard way just how much and how fast consumer tastes have changed. So there's a cautionary tale here to the risk of thinking once you achieve a quality stance, you don't have to keep improving. So how does a quality focused mindset bring about improvement? No one person knows everything. And to get an informed perspective, you need to hear from everyone involved. But they often won't speak up if they don't have a receptive audience. So the first and most important part of improvement is something called psychological safety. This is a quote from Amy Edmondson, who is a professor at Harvard Business School and just a general expert on leadership and management. And it really summarizes how a quality-focused mindset brings about improvement. And this kind of goes back to that thing I was saying about big egos not doing well in a quality-focused environment. Is that team members need to feel safe to take risks and be vulnerable in front of one another. And you don't get there by stealing credit or talking over other people. It happens by removing the fear of failure and listening. And this isn't just me, a meager design manager that agrees with Dr. Edmondson. Another company spent a lot of time and money researching what makes certain teams effective. And that company is Google. In 2012, Google embarked on an initiative to study hundreds of their teams and figure out why some teams stumbled while other teams were very successful. They codenamed this project Project Aristotle. So ignoring how cool it is that Google has code names for their projects, after 2 years of research studying its teams, they found it wasn't about talent or intelligence or anything you might assume that makes a team successful. Google identified 5 traits that successful teams shared. And of the 5 key dynamics that their research identified, psychological safety was number 1. So I would argue that one department in any company that needs psychological safety the most to thrive is the creative department. People don't feel safe taking risks and thinking outside the box if that approach is going to get them in trouble. So Hood is not perfect at this by any stretch, but because people feel safe to speak up and there is a willingness to listen to the boots on the ground, it allows change to be implemented at a pace that is unexpectedly fast for a company its size. So how is this applied? Keeping in mind, I've only been at Hood. I've been at Hood for less than 2 years. These are some of the things that we've accomplished because Hood is so open to change. And a lot of this stuff isn't super sexy, but even small improvements, if there are enough of them, can equal a big change. Just quickly starting with some of the tools we've enacted. We've set up a VPN with our with all of our business travel and the ever increasing appetite for work to be done from anywhere. We set up a VPN with the Hood Business Technology team, and the timing of this worked out extremely well as we deployed the technology in January of 2020, which was just in time to start using it 100% of the time before this pandemic started. So that was very lucky. Now we just going through some of these other changes, we've updated our department server hardware and set up offsite backups in our facilities in Virginia. We have also updated our internal asset management system and restructured our internal job filing system, which is definitely not the most fun task, but the end results have been pretty great as there's a lot better visibility and less redundancy for each of our brand's current projects and assets. We've also updated our external asset management system. And this was a pretty big initiative. We partnered with Salsify and Quickie to auto-generate product information and images for online retailers, which took a lot of busy work and logo requests and redundant things off our plate. Which this has been just fantastic for both our sales team and our marketing team, as well as our internal design team. It's more efficient for everyone. Another area we're able to identify some cost savings was by partnering with a single stock photography house, which also eliminated our chargeback billing system for stock photography. We were able to set up an in-house photography studio, and by doing some photography in-house, we're able to reduce turnaround times on certain requests, as well as improve image quality. Lastly, we were able to, and this is very recent, get color correct monitors. Because of the print work that we do, we wanted to get the most accurate color representation on our screens to help reduce the rounds of printer proofs revisions. And lastly, we subscribe to Monotype's Mosaic platform. And I want to be clear with everybody too, this is not something Monotype asked me to talk about. What I'm sharing is my genuine, honest opinion of this product, which we really love. In case anyone isn't familiar with Mosaic, it's Monotype's cloud-based font management software. It's really good for font discovery, collaboration, and license management. And for us, it really helped us reconcile the way we work in the new font landscape. The Wild West is over, just like Napster, which hopefully I'm not dating myself by referencing that, but it was fun while it lasted. But it was time that we started paying real close attention to how we used fonts and how our agencies used fonts. We had a font that was used by an agency that, in spite of their best and honest efforts, unfortunately wasn't licensed properly and was used on a package at the national level, and that came back to bite us in the butt. So we learned the hard way that was something we clearly were not paying enough attention to. So we had to take a long look at our massive font libraries, and yes, that is libraries plural because each designer had their own independent library at the time, and we realized that we needed a new way to do things. So that's how we found Mosaic. And aside from having some really great curated font collections from people who are a heck of a lot more obsessed with fonts than I am, and I love fonts. Mosaic ensures that we can easily share and monitor the usage of fonts we license and control the ways that our external partners, both our printers and our external agencies, use and have access to these fonts. So that was a really great tool that we found this year. So let's focus now on Hood's quality focus, or how Hood's quality focus has changed our processes. While there have been many small-scale changes like pre-flight procedures and release checklists, the more interesting changes for you all is how the creative department has been redirected by looking through the quality lens. And I would want to note too, I really, really, really would have loved to share with you some of the great redesigns that are going on internally right now. But regrettably, those are not quite ready yet. So hopefully at some point in the future, I can come back and share that work with you. But historically, Hood has done all its larger initiative creative work externally with some excellent agencies, but there are always some pinch points in the process surrounding cost and response time. So as a way of improving those points, Hood realized that by expanding the scope and capabilities of the internal creative department, that costs could be brought down and turnaround times for projects could be improved significantly. This is something that we're still building and will be for a while, but in spite of the effort, resources, and internal buy-in that it takes to make a change like this, it's still moving forward because at the end of the day, the quality of our brand's work will be improved. By building an internal team that's 100% invested in the outcome, you're over time building a very focused, specialized team that are experts in what your company does. We know the category, we know the product, we know the competitors, and most importantly, we know the history. So having an expert internal team is pretty great. But if we're being honest about what's best for our brands and the quality of work that they're getting, we just can't ignore the fact that there are undeniable benefits from having outside perspectives too. And as much as I might like to ignore it for my own personal growth and the growth of the people in our department. So having a healthy relationship with both internal and external creative is only going to make your brand better. And it was very reassuring to hear some of the things that James and Britt said about working with internal teams and how James structured his team at Coke to kind of reinforce this path that we're on here at Hood. Because when you have them working together and there's a good split of the creative work, there's like a real you can hopefully achieve a level of symbiosis where there's some excellent insights exchanged by working together, as well as the best kind of competition between the two creative resources. Having that other option out there for a project that my team would want to work on really puts a fire in our belly. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like a victory the times our department has had the winning design out of a group of designs from multiple agencies over the past year. And at the end of the day, I think this kind of relationship sets up brands to get the absolute best work possible, which is really what it's all about. So that's pretty much my presentation. I just wanted to leave you with a few takeaways just to kind of recap. The quality focused culture in terms of brands, shows that you care about quality, both internally and externally, and creates trust with your consumers. If you want to use that culture to help you improve, make sure all voices are heard and often, create an environment where people are encouraged to speak up, and then use what you hear to find the right processes and tools to fit your department's needs. So that is it for me. I'm looking forward to answering some questions.
Thank you so much, Mike. It was a great presentation and really interesting to hear about Hood's culture and just how that permeates through every aspect of the business. So anyone who has questions, feel free to post them in the chat window. We do have a couple for you right off the bat, Mike. So the first one was around the quality focus. And you mentioned that this quality focus is a magnet for recruiting pragmatists. And so the question is around whether those people find you and come to Hood naturally, or if that's something that you have to specifically go out and search for, and what that approach is like.
No, I don't think it's something people, specifically go out searching for. And that's definitely an observation of mine. I don't know if, everybody else in the company would even be aware of that, but it's definitely something I've noticed. In the toy world, there was a lot of big egos, and you were constantly kind of finding butting heads on certain things and seeing ways that personality type didn't fit in well. And I've noticed a big absence of that at Hood. And so I think just kind of naturally by the way the people are there, that it just kind of works itself out to this type of personality that works well in Hood's environment. And it's something that I really appreciate.
Great. So there's another one around your comments about psychological safety.
Yeah.
And so just given the times that we're in now and people have moved largely to a work from home environment, what does that kind of culture around quality and psychological safety look like in a distributed or remote environment for HUD?
Yeah, the Hood HR team and just internal communications has gone to great lengths to really make sure that employees are aware of the resources that they have, and for our employees, making sure that people don't feel isolated, that they're communicating. For my team personally, aside from our weekly meetings, we've started trying to do kind of like this Friday night. We call it Thinks and Drinks because I'm a nerd and it's a terrible title, but it just gets us together to have a beer and kind of just be design nerds together and talk about stuff. There's all kinds of, and that's just me and my department. Hood has over 3,000 employees, so I'm sure there's lots of other ways that people are finding to do things just like that to keep um, you know people feeling like they're a team and they're being heard, and still feeling safe to work together.
Great. All right, so I think we're pretty much up on time for you, Mike, but we will gather up any other questions, so feel free to submit them if they come to you. But I did want to thank you so much for sharing your perspective and the Hood story today. So
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
And
Thank
if
you
you
very
could
much.